be talking about GMOs in response to Ana Celeste Landero's speech. So I just wanted to talk about her main claim. The advocate's main claim was that the use of GMOs has a positive impact on Earth. Her secondary claims are the use of GMOs will be a great asset in the mission to end world hunger. The use of GMOs, the use of GMOs will help improve the flavor of crops. And 3, the use of GMOs will decrease environmental pollution. So my main claim is that the risks of GMOs outweigh the benefits of GMOs. Okay. So there's a lot of controversy on this subject, mainly because there is research on GMOs, but it isn't like proven factual that there will not be any risk in the long run. We have been using them for years, but still there are some risks, and I want to talk about those today. Okay, so my secondary claims are that GMOs are not the solution to end world hunger, based on the claims before of my advocate. Second, the use of GMOs are a harm to human health. 3, with or without GMOs, there will always be pollution. Okay, so to begin, my first claim. One of the main benefits that pro-GMOers, I don't know if that's wise to say, but they mean that GMOs will help third world countries improve their crops and basically nutrition the people to have a healthier lifestyle. One of my advocates' main evidence was that in Africa there is gold rice that has been genetically engineered. So in Africa there are some children that lose their sight because they don't have the proper nutrition, which help them in the long run with this rice. But what we don't know is the health hazards of GMO consumption. So there are some good effects, but there are also some bad effects. So that's what I want to talk about. Also, in Africa, I got this source from The Guardian online. So it says that it's not the solution to end world hunger, but GM crops pose an even greater threat to Africa's greatest wealth. So and also GM companies make it illegal to save a seed. So we have seen that farmers in North America whose crop was cross-pollinated by GM pollen have been sued by the GM company. About 80% of African small-scale farmers save their seed. How are they supposed to protect the varieties they have developed cross and shared over generations for GM contamination? This will be a disaster for them. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my second claim now. Okay, so the use of GMOs are harm to human health. So I'm going to back this up by what I mentioned before about the what is it called, the rice, the golden rice that helps the people in Africa for their sight. So one thing that people don't know is that GM crops are kind of worsen allergic reactions to some people that are allergic. So a growth in allergic reactions in the general population. Time and time again, studies have shown that consumption of GMOs increases the risk of food-based allergies in people. I got that from Pros and Cons of Genetically Modified Food. So basically, a lot of people say that GMOs have benefits for health, but it also kind of harms other people. So that's kind of like a contradiction to what the advocate was saying. So also a lot of another reason why I think it's harmful is because a lot of test studies on rats and other animals have actually gotten tumors based on these GM crops and testing. So I think it's really important that we understand these harms. That way people who are buying these products in the grocery store are aware that there can be harms to their bodies as well. So the last point I want to cover is that without GMOs, there will always be pollution. So my advocate was talking about how genetically modified crops are resistant to pests, which are also reduce the use of pesticides and other harmful chemicals. But the thing is, in Mother Nature, all animals eventually adapt. So in the long run, they will eventually eat the plants and pretty much ruin them. Okay, so to conclude, I just wanted to say that GMOs are, in the long run, more harmful than beneficial. Although there are some benefits, I believe that we should think about the risks concerning this issue. And obviously, you guys need to really learn what you are purchasing in the grocery store in order to have a safe health. And that concludes my talk.
All right, you preview the advocate's arguments, then you kind of preview your arguments, and then you start signposting, so maybe a little over-organized in regard to the structure at the beginning of the speech. The idea that the risks are greater than the benefits, that's a good general counterclaim. However, I think you need to quantify that a little bit. How are you going to measure those sorts of differences? The only thing that I have about the African rice is, or the golden rice that you mentioned is, well, there are studies that say that it increases allergic reactions, and that's about the only response that I had. So I think that you need to give us some way of measuring how we weigh allergic reactions against blindness, because that's what the advocate's talking about, solving those kinds of issues. You say we don't know what the health hazards are, and I'm trying to figure out, so what are they? And at best, we got that kind of an argument. I did think that you got on a side issue concerning the legal issue about, saving the seeds and whether or not there's some kind of patent issue that's going on there. That's pretty speculative, and at best it's an environmental issue and a legal issue. It's not demonstrated that it's a health issue, so I'm not sure that it belongs on that particular point. The rat studies, I think there's no citation on that particular point, and where you talked about the allergic reactions, it's basically studies have shown, and the site that you give on that is pro.com on genetically modified foods, which sounds to me like it's an aggregate site that's listing what some potential issues are without actually giving you the evidence itself. So I think you need to dig a little bit deeper on that. On the third point, I wasn't sure what your argument was at the end. It sounds like you're saying everything's going to adapt to everything anyway, so what's the point in making any difference? I literally don't know how that responds to the point that the advocate was talking about, so that's just a little confusing. All right, so it's well organized. I think you've got a good couple of counterclaims. You need to develop the evidence on a couple of those points and make it clear. And like I said, the last point has to definitely be clarified. All right, thank you.